when I think about gratitude, let's start there. You are not in this room if you're not winning. Back to clapping it all up. I think people have completely lost context of gratitude living in a first world country like America. Like, just to remind everybody, to level set where I'm going with this. The top 1% earners in this country, you know, one of the two dominant empires in the world right now, at a very rich company. The top 1% earners in this country start at about $440,000 a year. If you make $440,000 a year, you're in the 1% in the richest country in the world. Even different than that from a business standpoint, looking around this audience, we're all of the age where some bad stuff has happened. We have lost a relative, we have lost things. When I think about why people don't build good cultures, especially when I think about this, which is you're the hunters and back home on your team are the farmers. And that framework excites me and I think about it a lot. Just the complete and utter lack of ability to understand how much gratitude, if it actually is in you, how much that shows up with how you manage a team is huge. We lost Ford as a major client. My head person that runs all of the New York office, which is the biggest office that the Ford account runs in, and when I tell you white as a ghost, I'm talking like Casper the Friendly Ghost, white, like whiter than that, like dead. Walks in, he's like, we lost Ford, and we're talking about 8 figures hefty. I'm on my computer, I look up at him like, okay. I'm like, let's deal with it later. He had come from all these agencies where like, what would have happened is complete chaos, 100 people would have been laid off, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't come because my P&L is healthy, though it is enough to absorb it. It comes because I'm incapable of letting business dictate my emotional behavior. I'm completely detached from my success. When I say 5.3 million fans, back to the story he just told you, I'm not proud of that. I mean, I'm proud of it, I know I put in the work, but it's definitely not my identity. And I think, when I think about winners at this level, I always think about like, man, if people were just really grateful, because what I always think about, and what I said earlier, I know there was some chuckles, since I was 10, I've been on a mission to buy the New York Jets. I think about it, I strategize against it, I own an esports team and a pickleball team, and like with other owners in the league, Steve Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, owns a piece of my agency, like I'm in it, and I'm trying. But when I think about balancing real obnoxious ambition, compromising it, and changing your culture because you're so driven by a number, a goal, success, is actually stopping you from getting to the thing you want. I think about self-awareness a lot. The other unlock that I've seen in this scenario that I'm spending a lot of time thinking about with the CEOs that I sit on the board of, this is why I have some audacity of buying the Jets. In 2006, as I was going through building my dad's business, I decided social media was the next big thing, and I became a very early investor in 2006 in Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Uber. Back then, literally Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr were the first 3 companies I ever invested in. They were remarkable. If you don't know Tumblr, it's basically the social network that I think TikTok is now representing, the interest graph versus the social graph. It sold for $1 billion to Yahoo 10 years ago. But in self-awareness, I've had funds since, I've done well, but I haven't annihilated it. And it's because I'm not really a remarkable investor. I'm a good investor. But now I'm becoming a better investor because I've asked myself, why did I invest in those companies? I invested in them because I wasn't thinking of myself as an investor. I was thinking of myself as, this is a good company, the CEO is good, I'm gonna make money. I simplified it. I think for a lot of people in this room, as you think about doubling, tripling, quadrupling what you want, I think we struggle in lying to ourselves. At some point I'll get to my half, which is kind candor. If you ask me, why have I left enormous amounts of money on the table in my 25 years in all this success? It is completely and utterly attributable to my inability to be candorous to my team, because I don't really love negative conflict. I like to find different ways to get to the goal without telling people it directly to their face. It's something I've struggled with for 20 plus years. Only in the last 3 or 4 years, when I've been able to assess personal and professional hardships, that I've been able to really go to a self-awareness, accountable, honest place with myself. and it's completely transformed our business. In the last 4 years, my agency has doubled in size of people and tons of growth, based on me finally addressing my candor issue and not surprising people. The only thing that was fucking up my culture, and my culture is off the charts, was that I am so proud, and I challenge all of you to understand how important as a leader it is to singly be focused on eliminating fear. Period. If you want to melt this all down to the opportunity for growth, how good are you? Steve, first of all, great shirt, Steve. Steve, how good are you at eliminating fear is a direct correlation to what's gonna happen to your business with your people. The problem is, there's a lot of parents here. How many people are parents in here? Raise your hands. So a lot of you know this. The problem is when you focus on eliminating fear and you go too far, you create entitlement. And so my vulnerability was, I'm so obsessed with eliminating fear that I created a culture of entitlement. And so people thought they were better than they were because I wasn't able to tell them. And so finding the purple instead of the red and blue is a humongous passion of mine. And so I highly recommend for anybody in this room who genuinely is hungry for the growth to start thinking about self-awareness. Even some of the stuff I talked about earlier, this whole one team thing you're on in a world where you're all kind of independently playing, like you have to be self-aware of like who you are as a partner to this ecosystem. More importantly, and I mean more importantly, even though I'm sure that's incredibly important, more importantly, you have to be self-aware of the leader you are for your team. Your retention and happiness on the people that work for you has the craziest direct correlation to your growth capacity. And so I think in the business world, all these foofy feelings, especially, and I'm a salesman, especially when we think about sales and hunting, I think we've grossly underestimated that the soft skills are actually the hard skills. And I know what a lot of people think when I talk about this stuff. I am not talking about wild entitlement for Gen Z who wants to work at home 5 days a week and not work and wants you to take care of everything. But I do want to remind all the people that raised their hands, we're the parents of those kids. My favorite thing that's happening in culture is having dinners and meetings with people where they're shitting on their 23-year-old kid, and then when they're done, I look at them and I'm like, you created them. You don't want your kids to be entitled? Don't give them 8th place trophies when they suck in soccer. Over 40, raise your hand. This shit where you go to school and argue with a teacher for a better grade, that's some crazy ass shit. Like we've broken way too many rules of merit. That's why, you wanna talk about why everyone's scared and sad? It's because we've scared them. We've shown all our children that the reason, like, here's a good one. If you have a child that's over 22 years old in your life right now, and you give them money in any capacity, you pay for their apartment, their Uber, their Equinox, you just give them money, I will show you a direct correlation to them being unhappy. But yet it feels counter. And this is the same thing with management, just like parenting. I don't think what's up here is so easy. Balancing being empathetic to your team and kind while you're tenaciously trying to hit numbers is a fucking tightrope. But I promise you there's a direct correlation to it.